So right here I'm going to start by pinning the fabric together. I already measured my sister's, so I cut it approximately to the size and then I pinned it to the size. And then I just start sewing the edges. And in order to get that mermaid shape, I measured around my sister's knees, and that's the bottom of the dress. You're only going to make the dress from the chest to the knees. And then the rest of the dress will be made out of the skirt and the tulle. My sister's knee area measured to about 16 inches, so I divided that by 2 because I'm making the skirt in 2 parts to make it easier. And that came out to 8, so I measured the elastic to 8 inches and then I cut the tulle. I just wanted to say that I got a yard of the dress fabric and a yard of each color of tulle that I bought. Next, I'm going to measure the skirt that's going to go underneath the tulle, and I can't remember exactly what the measurements were, but basically you're going to want to make the bottom longer than the top, and then I kind of just cut it how I wanted it to look. I didn't really have a stencil or anything that I was basing it off of, and then I folded it over to cut the other side evenly. And this is kind of what your skirt should look like. Next, you're just going to sew both of the sides. Make sure you do not sew the top and the bottom. After I cut the pieces, I ended up with 16 pieces, and so I divided that by 2 again, and I had 4 pieces of each color. I stacked it all together, and then I made sure to pin the left side, and then I pinned the right side, and then I pinned the middle, and then so on and so forth. You just keep on pinning. And this is what it'll look like, and then you just sew it. And by adding the elastic, it makes the top shorter than the bottom, so that way it'll wrap around the knee area perfectly, and then the bottom of the skirt will be wider, giving it that mermaid effect. It's kind of hard to tell, but right up there, that is the dress flipped inside out, and that's the area where the knees go, and then that's the tulle skirt, and then that's the actual skirt. And you just pin it all together and then you sew it. It was kind of hard for me to figure out how this was gonna work out, but you kind of just have to think about it and then pin it and then flip the dress inside out and check, and if it's how it's supposed to be, then you just sew it. And this is what it looks like after it's all sewed together. That's the bottom skirt and that's the tulle. Next, this is the top of the chest piece, and we're just gonna fold that in a little bit and then pin it, and then you're just gonna sew it just to make sure that nothing starts falling apart. And that's what the top of the dress will look like after you do that. Here I'm just gonna cut out pieces of fabric that are going to be the straps, and I already measured my sister's shoulders, and I'm just added the elastic and I pinned it, and then you're just going to sew it. And this is what it should look like, and once those are done, you just pin those to the dress and sew them on also. Next, you're going to need some pearls and a hot glue gun. I got the pearls at Michael's, and you just glue them onto the skirt. You're going to need some gold paint and a paintbrush to paint the seashells that are going to be a bra and the starfish for the clip. I just found this clip in my sister's drawer, and then I just cut a piece of fabric out and I glued it on top of it. And then I flipped it over and glued the edges into the clip. If you guys don't want to waste a clip or you don't have one, you can just go to the dollar store and just buy one. Next, I glued on the starfish, and make sure you leave some space just in case you want to add pearls to it. And you just add pearls in any pattern that you want. I added 3 sizes of pearls. Next, I just applied the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer on her eyelids. Then I just set that with Strutter from the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca Remix palette. I went in with this eyeshadow by NYX, it's called Mermaid, and I applied that all over her lids. Then I went in with this blue shade and I applied it to the outer V of her eyes, and I just made sure to blend that out really good. I continued to blend it with the shade Noble from the same Kat Von D palette. Then I applied the Too Faced glitter glue onto her lids, and then I went over with the shade Mermaid again because it just wasn't as pigmented as I would like. Next, I applied this highlighter in her inner corners. I used the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer to hide her dark circles. I blended that out with the Real Techniques brush. I applied Champagne Pop on her cheekbones and temples. Then I just went in and filled in her eyebrows with the shade for the Anastasia eyebrow powder in the shade Ebony. Then I just applied this gold glitter from Sally's Beauty Salon on her cheekbones. And I also applied a blue one, but the footage of that got lost. And last, we just applied mascara, and then later some butter gloss from NYX. And then that was the finished look. And then I just curled her hair, and that was it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Please share and comment on this video, and I will see you in the next one.